Comment 763 is about roots. Fractional powers, which mean roots. So this, for example, means the square root of 4. But that's about the most simple example you can have. A horrible example is this. Now, when you read that, you should, comment 763 says, look at the bottom first. The reason is it'll keep the numbers small, because when you look at the bottom of the fractional power, you should interpret that as an instruction to invent a question where the answer is 16, a multiplication question, a repeated multiplication question of the same number, and that tells you to use the same number 4 times. So there's my 4 repetitions. It's got to have a 16. How can you get 16? Just use trial and error. Usually these things are based on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. If you've got to get to 16 with 4 repetitions, start small. I think 2 times 2 times 2 works. So when you see that, your job is to come up with this in your head. And this is the point, that number is nice and small, which means now when you kick in the next part, which is to look at that, you'll be able to handle the arithmetic quicker. This part, by the way, is just a good old-fashioned power. So your job is now to power 2 up by 3. So this fella is equal to 2, that's the backwards part, to the power of 3, that's this part, which is 8. Now, it's not wrong if you do this thing first. If you go 16 to the power of 3, get some enormous great big number like 1024 or whatever, you can now do a square root of that, and that's fine. So you can now do a 4th root of that. You can now, I don't think it is 1024, it's 16 times 16, I think is 256 times, yeah, I think it's like 4096 or something. You can now do a 4th root of 4096 if you want, but I'm recommending focus on this first because it keeps the numbers smaller. And by the way, just before you do that, just check you're not being a duffer. If it was this, don't try and come up with a 4th root of 16, just cancel that fraction. And now this is just a good old-fashioned square root. Your job is to think of a number which, when you times it by itself, so just 2 repetitions give you 16. That's obviously 4, and this one means that you don't then need to do anything.